Is there anything Mark Zuckerberg can't do? Not only is he one of the richest people in the world, but he's also crazy talented at MMA. The social media giant posted a video of himself throwing some amazing kicks and knees while sparring with professional MMA fighter Kai Wu. The video has done rounds on social media, capturing the attention of many UFC stars, including former double-weight champion Conor McGregor. Stay tuned for more on the story. First up, full of technique. Along with being a multi-billionaire, Mark Zuckerberg has another achievement up his sleeve now. He's probably the first person in ages who's gotten a compliment from the former dual-weight champion Conor McGregor. After Zuckerberg uploaded a jaw-dropping video of him sparring with Kai, the entire social media, including some famous UFC personalities, were left stunned. It was just so amazing to see how skilled Mark is. The knees, the punches, kicks, the grappling, everything was full of technique. Yo! Awesome, Mark. Well, we're not gonna lie, that compliment has Conor written all over it, but still, it's exactly what he said. And it was probably a cool moment for McGregor as well, since Zuckerberg is also a fan of his and can't wait to see him make a comeback to the octagon. Also, this is clearly a one-up on Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Not only is Mark catching up to them in terms of total net worth, but he's also sent an indirect message to the competition that he isn't afraid to fight it out if it gets to that. Just kidding, but really, he could probably drop both those guys. If we had to guess, Zuckerberg has been training for a very long time now because he was getting everything right in that video. Like we said before, the technique is there, he's confident, and most importantly, he knows what he's doing. It's also really cool to see how closely he follows the UFC, since he knew everybody who was commenting. He replied to guys like Alex Volkanovski and Alex Pereira as well. Turns out, the coding wizard is super pumped to see Volkas's double championship fight and Alex's challenger fight against Israel Adesanya. On a side note, don't be alarmed to see Jake Paul calling out Zuckerberg sometime in the near future, because that is the real money fight. Next, DC weighs in. UFC legend and Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier also couldn't help but notice Mark's swagger during his sparring session with Kai Wu. For starters, DC is really glad Zuckerberg has discovered love for MMA. And it's not because it'll bring a ton of coding geniuses to the game, it's because he believes mixed martial arts is beneficial no matter what you do. Cormier thinks everyone should do some form of MMA. Like, you don't need to go all out on training and transform yourself into a super athlete or something, but even sticking to some light routines to work on conditioning, strength, and mobility can do wonders for your body. Also, did you know Kai Wu, the fighter Zuckerberg is sparring with, made his debut in the octagon at UFC Paris? He lost, but you know, at least he was endorsed by Mark. That's a win itself, right? Zuckerberg also made an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience a little while back, in which he talked about why he turned to MMA in detail. The 38-year-old tech mogul told Joe that he used to love running, but it never helped him take his mind off of work. And when you're managing the biggest social media platforms in the world, we imagine having some me time must be really important. Zuckerberg said that he turned to MMA for two basic reasons. Number one, it's a very intellectually engaging sport, and we totally agree with that. A lot of people think MMA is just about going out, kicking, punching, and screaming until something connects and you get a win. It's actually a super strategic sport that requires a ton of thinking. Number two, it takes his mind off of work. Mark said that since the stakes are so high, losing focus for even a second can send you falling flat on your bottom. Moving on, he's pretty much addicted now. It wouldn't be wrong to say Zuckerberg is addicted to the sport now. Believe it or not, he actually recruited a couple of his pals and pushed them to start training and learn MMA. The 38-year-old tech genius talked about how he wasn't exactly that sporty his entire life. He played a couple of sports in his early childhood, but nothing really caught his attention. But 5 minutes into his first session, Mark was wondering where MMA had been his entire life. And it kinda makes sense too. A lot of people fail to understand that mixed martial arts aren't just physical sports. They require a lot of brain power as well. Imagine trying to map out your opponent's movements and landing a punch at not where your opponent is, but where they're going to be. But honestly speaking, to see Mark having so much fun with MMA has us really excited. We're hoping he continues to show us his moves because it might just push a whole new generation to not only watch, but learn the sport. Time for some more on the UFC. Up next, we're already in fight week though. We always had a feeling the Khamzat versus Nate fight was a bit fishy. Not only is it a huge mismatch, but it's also like the UFC is trying to teach Diaz a lesson. The promotion wanted to give him a proper send-off. And by proper send-off, we mean get absolutely butchered. And with just a few days left in their match, Diaz has once again made it very clear that he still has no interest in fighting Khamzat. In fact, the Stockton Slugger claims he never called this fight in the first place. But we all know the Diaz brothers for being fearless and fighting anyone who gets thrown at them. And that's why Nate isn't backing off, because he knows the pressure is on Chimaev. All the UFC wants from him is to make him, Khamzat, a superstar. The Stockton Slugger also told Chimaev to bring his A game and finish him since he's supposedly the new killer in town. Let's make you. You're welcome, UFC. We agree with everything Nate has said so far. It's pretty clear the UFC is trying to launch Khamzat and line him up for a shot at the title. But since they need to squeeze in a Leon versus Kamaru rematch before that, it's important to keep Khamzat occupied. Now, for Jake's biggest challenge. It's confirmed, ladies and gentlemen, former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva will be fighting celebrity boxer Jake Paul on October 29th. Dana White, including a lot of other professional fighters, are calling this the biggest fight of Jake's career. Even his promotion company, MVP, Most Valuable Promotions, said Jake picked Anderson since he wanted to be the underdog in his fight. Also, the majority of people never believed Jake would fight the Spider, mainly because he's a really good boxer. But we gotta give him credit for taking this fight. As for Silva, literally 90% of the fight world is waiting for you to knock Jake out and finally end the hype train for good. If you ask us, this is going to be a really tough fight. Jake will have a slight edge because of the massive age gap, but apart from that, Silva completely dominates him in terms of skills and experience. Our money is on Anderson. We think he's going to be the first fighter to finally put Jake to sleep and remind him the combat world is a mean and nasty place. Finally, Whitaker defends Adesanya. You'd imagine these guys to have a lot of bad blood between them. Both these guys know what it takes to reach the top and then stay there, fending off threats from every single direction. But following his win over Marvin Vettori at UFC Paris, the Reaper didn't hold back when some reporters asked him his opinion on Izzy becoming a really boring fighter. Instead of taking the opportunity to talk some smack and call out the middleweight champion for a trilogy fight, he decided to defend his name, saying he gets paid to win, and that's it. Whitaker also said that if he had the option of winning fights without having to be all flashy for 25 minutes, then he'd pretty much do the same. But anyway, Bobby Reaper has been putting in the work to get another shot at the middleweight title. He's registered some impressive wins, and we'd say he's probably a fight or two away from a title challenge. It depends mostly on who wins the fight between Alex and Izzy. If the Nigerian manages to defend his title again, Whitaker might just get a chance to win back gold in his next appearance. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Were you impressed after watching Mark spar it out with a professional fighter? And do you think his presence will attract more eyes to the sport? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more entertaining content in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.